Welcome to another Sunday Q&A. I am down at the Junkyard, just working on the Charger Magnum a little bit. So I'm probably going to pretty much call it a day where I'm at right now, and then I'm going to actually redo my trailer. So I'm going to redo the wiring and everything on the trailer. But I just put the hood on. Everything looks perfect. I'm just glad that I picked everything up because nothing has any dents on it, and it's just really nice because when I got all the stuff for the Challenger, it just was a nightmare. Everything came damaged, and it just turned into like this big thing where I had to keep fixing little dings, little dents here and there on parts I got, and it was all shipping related. So since I was the shipper, I didn't have any issues. So I'm really happy that I got this door on here, and it actually is all the way closed. Yesterday, what I did was I cut the door frame out of it. Well, didn't cut it. I removed the spot welds and everything. But yeah, it opens and closes, and it just really, all that they do from the factory is they put like this really nasty weld across them. So I didn't do this one on this side yet because I ran out of sanding discs, and the paint store is actually closed. So they put like this really nasty weld on them, which it's you just cut them off up here and here, and then the spot welds down here just get drilled out. But yeah, I'll do this one tomorrow, get that all buttoned up, and then I'm going to start working on getting all the inner structure back into, or back spot welded or plug welded onto the car. And then once that is done, I can start working on the quarter panels, the rear hatch, and all the rear sheet metal, which will be really nice because then once all of that's done, we'll be really close to painting it. So I'm just getting really excited because this thing's getting closer and closer, and now that I have all the parts except for the fenders, those should be coming in the next couple of weeks, which those really shouldn't matter because I didn't touch anything in the front. So all of the alignment there should be fine. The front doors I aligned to the rails and everything, and I need to put the lower side skirt so I can get everything lined up on the front and the back doors, make sure they're perfectly lined up so all the gaps are good. So then once I fit the quarter panel, all the gaps are going to be good. So I'm not going to run into any issues with gap problems, because it looks really bad when you have a car and you have it painted all nice and all the gaps are off, and you could 100% tell. You look at a car, you see the gaps are off, and you're just like, man, this thing looks like crap. So I don't want that to happen to this, and I don't think it will. So let's see what you guys are saying. The front camera's a little dirty. Let me clean that off. Let's see what everybody's saying here. Hi, Dave. Greets from Amsterdam. What's going on? Hey, Dave. What's going on? Greetings from Thornton. What's going on, Steven? Let's see. Like this hold on. Like this comment if you like this guy. I think this guy is amazing. Thanks. Much love from Florida. What's going on? What am I planning to do with this car once it is finished? So that is the big question. A lot of people have been asking me, am I going to sell it? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? Am I going to take it to SEMA? So I have talked about taking it to SEMA. Since SEMA is canceled this year, it actually gives me a whole year to get it 100% how I want it. It shouldn't take me a whole year. It should take me by the end of the year. I was planning on having this thing done for this year's SEMA, which that isn't really too far out of the question, even though it's canceled. I should have it done, or at least the body done, by the end of the year. All the drivetrain and stuff, I still need to build the engine up. The block is sitting in the car. If you are new to the channel from DIY Gang, I have the Trackhawk block and the all-wheel drive tranny in here, but I'm going to bore this thing out to a 426, and then I need to reseal the transmission because it was in a fire and the pan gasket just kind of got cooked, so it has been leaking. Other than that, I looked at the rest of the seals behind the torque converter in the T-case area. All those look fine. It doesn't look like it got any excessive heat there, but doing all the drivetrain stuff is probably going to cost, I would say, in the like $20,000 to $40,000 range. So that being said, I'm saving that till after the body is done, just so I can do it how I want it to be done and have everything 100%, have the 426 done, figure out what turbos I'm going to buy and all of that stuff. So back to what am I going to do with this thing once I have it done? It's going to become pretty much probably my new, not a daily driver. I do drive the Hellcat like 3 to 4. I have the Challenger Hellcat if you're new to the channel, and I drive it like 3 or 4 times a week. And that's what I plan on doing with this. It's going to replace the Hellcat. Most likely, I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway on my Challenger Hellcat, the 18 wide body, because I only have a certain amount of spaces in the garage, and I don't have another space. I could leave this. I could bring the Challenger down here, or I could leave this one down here. I'm not exactly sure. I'd rather just give away one of them, and it's going to be because I want to drive this. I really have spent a lot of time on it, and I want it to just be, I want to be able to drive it. I want to be able to have fun with it. Same thing goes with the Hellcat. I built it. That's the reason a lot of people were commenting on that the paint doesn't match between the fender and the door if you are new to the channel. So what happened was I had a bunch of issues with parts. I got the front end painted, and it was becoming summer. So I wanted to actually drive the car and have fun with it instead of just working on it for, months and months at a time. Obviously, it probably would only took me, a couple weeks to, blend in through the door and the quarter panel, but I just wanted to drive it. I want to have fun with it. And I was planning on actually taking it to Florida, but then everything got canceled. So that's mostly the reason why I haven't really blended it. This car is going to be really easy because I'm going to just paint the whole thing. So when you do a full spray on a car, it's really easy. It's all brand new paint. I don't know. I'm still deciding on the color, but I was looking at maybe a very, very light mint green metallic, and then coating that. I'm going to have to try a bunch of different things out. I was thinking of like a really light mint green metallic, and then coating it with the dark blue mid coat. But I'm going to have to test it out and see how it reacts and stuff like that, and how it looks in the sunlight and everything, because I do want this to kind of be a custom paint color. I was thinking the frostbite blue. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but I'm not exactly sure what I want to do paint wise on this. I definitely want it to be blue, but the shade of blue, and if it's a tri-coat, if it's just a base clear, is really gonna be, it's up in the air right now. It's really up in the air. Let's see. Been watching you since the Magnum Hellcat build. Love what you're doing, and thank you. Make the car community better every upload. Thanks, I appreciate that. Safe trip, lots of parts. Hell yeah, thanks. Please, SR20 VVL rear-wheel drive build video us, please. Yeah, so I have been thinking about the VVL for quite a bit, and I've been working on the FD and this and all kinds of stuff. So I did order a new 3D printer so I could start, because I have a lot of stuff designed for the VVL, the K series, the 13B, and I need to make sure that everything's going to fit. So I'm going to 3D print some of the stuff I designed, make sure the intake manifolds are going to work, and then I get the FD back up and running. I could also get that K series manifold done, as well as I want to, make some parts for this engine, the Trackhawk engine. I need to figure out what I'm going to do about the intake manifold, because I'm going to go, I'm most likely going to go either a big single or twin turbos. I'm going to ditch the supercharger, and I need to start working on that. And I'm pretty quick at designing stuff. Just, you have to 3D print it. I do like to 3D print stuff before I send it off to get machined, just to make sure everything's going to fit. All the, everything is going to line up, and all the ports line up, and everything is nice and smooth transitions. Just that extra little bit of effort really pays off in the end, because then you don't have stuff that doesn't line up and stuff like that. Because when I was designing Trevor's K-Series intake manifold, which I'm going to 3D print that, the RBC manifold actually has really, really small ports compared to what's on the head. When I redesigned the manifold, I made sure that the ports lined up with the ones on the head, which they were quite a bit different. So I hope that answers the question. Let's see. What happened to the Magnum? Hold on, what happened to the Magnum? It's done. Huh? I'm the other Magnum sitting in the other shop. Hey Dave, I sent you an auction site from Detroit with Magnum, that one for 400. That's not bad. I'm watching from India. Nice. Hi, what's up? Good job. Thanks. Watching from what? Watching from John. I don't even know where that's at. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to chop it. Still waiting for the help on the 18 wheeler. Semis are their whole other animal because everything on them is so heavy. It's just one of those things I've never really. So I worked at a semi place when I first got out of college. I was supposed to get this job as a service manager at this Kenworth, and it was local in town. So I go on my first day, and they hand me the keys to this truck, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we don't have a service manager position anymore, but you could do delivery and do like a delivery driver." And I was like, "Well, how long is this gonna last?" He's like, "Oh, it will only be like a month or so." So I'm there for like 2 weeks, and you're lifting to deliver parts. You're lifting like the the drums and the pads and all that stuff's pretty heavy. And then there's like heads and stuff you have to load with forklifts. But sometimes they're like, oh, I mean, 2 people could just lift them in and stuff like that. I was like, no. But short story, 2 weeks goes by. The guy that they just hired to be the service manager, he just quit. And so I talked to the general manager. I'm like, hey man, this guy just quit. You guys were supposed to hire me for this job. And he's like, well, you're already doing parts delivery. He's like, we'll just hire somebody else for the service manager position. And I was like, well, you're going to be looking for a delivery driver because I'm out of here. And it was like the saddest face I've ever seen on anybody. But yeah, semi trucks stuff is very heavy. Getting back to that, and I've never really had the no, I've actually wanted to buy a semi truck, but they're their own animal. I'm gonna say that. Let's see. Sunny G all the way from India. Tight. Any plans on taking this to Hoonigan to showcase your build? So this, I'm gonna have so much time and effort in it. I will do donuts and stuff with it. And I don't know, I've done donuts in really sketchy places with the Hellcat already, but I don't know if I would take this and do like stuff like at Hoonigan in their little yard, because there's just so much stuff there and there's so much work that's gone in this car. I'd probably take the other Magnum to Hoonigan, which they wouldn't even want it there. It's just a 392 swap Magnum. But yeah, there's no way I'd be doing donuts around shipping containers and like semi trailers and stuff like that, just to be on Hoonigan. So, I mean, I would do something that maybe, showcase the build and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be doing anything in their little courtyard thing with this thing, because it's gonna just be, it's too much for Hoonigan. I think. I just think that they're their own kind of like, people take kind of cars that they really don't care about, it seems like. And I don't want to take something that I pride myself in and that I actually, really, really am going to enjoy after it's done. So that being said, probably not this car. I don't think I'd take this car to Hoonigan. I'd probably take something that I cared less about. I might burn, like a build a burn off truck or something like that. But yeah. Okay, hey man, now that you have almost everything, how much time do you think it will take to finish the project? So there is a lot of custom work. I'm going to say, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm going to give myself, the end of the year. I should have this thing at least in primer or painted, but I still have to, I think actually this stuff back here is going to go really, really quick. So all I'm going to have to do is put the pieces of inner structure, well, replug weld using the old pieces. As you guys will see in the video, that these are not that different. I'm just going to modify the ones from the original car to make them wide body. and I'm just gonna, show doing that instead of actually using the old ones, or instead of using the new ones that I bought, because the new ones, Dodge does this weird thing where they only give you a section. In the picture that you see when you order these, it shows the whole section. So I thought I was getting this whole piece, but it stops down there. So I'm just going to use this, then it'll be one piece. I don't have to splice anything in, and I'll just modify it to be a wide body one. So I'm just really happy that I didn't get rid of these and that I didn't, cut them up too bad. They should, actually, I already made this one fit into the support for the Magnum, and I just have to do the same to that side. But yeah, it's just a lot of work. I need to splice the trunk and the hatch in still, which isn't too bad. And I have to make this channel back here that I still need to make, but it's just a little bit of sheet metal work, which isn't bad. I actually wanted to get a laser level so I could cut this on the same side on each side, just make sure it was all nice and flat. But it's just a lot of fabricating. So, and I'm doing it all by myself, which is another thing. It's just one of those things, you can only do so much when you're welding two pieces of metal together. You have to weld them at a certain rate. You can't rush it. It's one of those things where if you rush it, it warps, and it's a lot of people don't understand that. So there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so fast you can weld without warping a panel. So I'm just doing it as quick as I can. So hopefully people can understand that. And I do plan on trying to get this done by the end of the year. So just wait, and you guys will be hopefully pretty happy once it's finished. What about the rear doors? So I just kind of talked about that, but the rear doors, all I'm going to do, so I already chopped this one, and this is how they're actually mounted. There's a kind of a crappy weld up here. It's just at a 45-degree angle. So what I'm going to end up doing is actually using the Magnum inner piece of the door frame, and it'll work perfectly. It'll spot weld back in here. I drilled all the spot welds out. It's really easy. A lot of people are going to be like, man, you just messed up a Charger wide body door, which they're their own door. It took me, nobody knew that they were different. I looked a couple places. The only thing that was different was the part numbers, but they are different. They have the holes. They also are recessed on both sides. They have these cutouts because the flares actually fit into them. So if you didn't know, now you know. Let's see. Hi from Canada. Thanks for the cool projects. I appreciate it. I'm most likely going to get another project. I'm going to look at it today. It's an oldie, but it's a project that I probably won't actually be able to drive, but I've really wanted one for a long time, just because they're so small. It's a really tiny car, but and I'm 6'8", so those two things really don't go together. But it's one of those cars that a lot of people, everybody knows of them, and they're pretty cool. They're small. I mean, I think they have like 13-inch tires on them. So I'm guessing some of the British people know what I'm talking about, but there's a little hint. So yeah. I work at a Kenworth truck dealership in Jersey. I know the feeling. Hello from India, Dave. How are you? I'm good. How are you doing? Hi from the UK. Great to see you pop up on DIY Gang. It was a big surprise when you appeared. Great job. Thanks. British Columbia in the chat. What's going on? Okay. I'm new. How did you get the wide body parts? So I'm working with a dealership in New Jersey, or I'm not sure exactly. Is it Waterbury? What? I need to look at the name. See, I don't really remember how it's spelled. Here, I'm going to open this water. Let's see. I think it's Waterbury or something like that. Somebody got mad at me for mispronouncing it, but it's really hard not looking at the spelling of it. So yeah, I'm working with that dealer out there. I worked with them on the Hellcat build, the Challenger Hellcat, now they're working with me on the Magnum Charger wide body build. So yeah, the wide body parts are very difficult to come by, and it's just really a pain. I mean, Dodge makes it very, very difficult, especially, not even just getting the parts if you have the car, but if you don't have a car, it's very hard because they don't want to sell them to you. So um, that being said, I mean, there's some ways around it, but um, at the end of the day, there's not a very big stock of the parts. So if a lot of people start buying the parts that don't have the cars, Dodge is already running out with people that do have the cars. So there's going to be like this huge back order of parts, which I don't think it's going to be. I mean, eventually they're going to release it to the normal public, but it's just one of those things that right now, even if you could get around it, most likely you're not going to be able to get the parts because Dodge is already out of them. So like I said in my trip video, I ordered the last driver fender that they had in stock, and I think the wait for I think the wait on the other ones that were coming in were like a couple months out. And then there were I think there was a bunch of right ones, but when I ordered the right one, I think the stock had already been depleted. So I got a driver and a passenger, but then both stocks were depleted already. So and that was what was coming in to the distribution center. So it's one of those things. The parts are very, very light right now, and I think Dodge is going to need to step it up with their ordering these parts in, because so many people are buying these parts and so many cars are actually getting wrecked and trying to get fixed, that they're going to have this huge issue of not having parts to fix cars. So eventually, I mean, I think you'll be able to get wide body parts, but at the moment, I mean, for the next probably year, it's going to be a big pain. Even if you could order them, that you're not going to be able to get them. Let's see, FC. Hold on, FC, the perfect candidate for Hoonigan. Actually, I really like the FC. So the FC is an original Turbo 2. It has a lot of miles on it, but it has 0 rust on it and 0 body damage. So I mean, it has some body damage on the door, but the door is its own piece. So I wouldn't want to take the FC to Hoonigan and wreck it up. I think the one car I wouldn't mind would be the Magnum, because it already has some damage on it, and I did take it to a drift event. I know how it kind of reacts, and it actually does. It does good donuts, and it does drift well, and it does hold its own. But I'd probably build its own car for Hoonigan, just so I knew I wasn't going to build a car that I 100% cared about it, and just in case I wrecked it, or did a wall ride, or jumped it off the dock or something like that. So maybe one day, but I want to get the Magnum Charger done first. Nice of you to help out DIY gang. No problem. Hey, you are making one of my dream cars. I have a 2006 SRT8 300 with 126K. I want to Hellcat or Elephant swap it, but still debating. But you are an inspiration. Keep up the great work, man. Thanks, I appreciate it. Hi from the Springs. What's going on, Tommy? Should do a Charger Ute. I did it to a Civic, and it was fun. I was actually looking at this, and it wouldn't be bad to actually make this into a truck if I did another one, because literally I could come back here and like mid door I could just make it into, or I can make these doors longer or something, and like mid door make a truck, because it would be kind of cool. And then I wouldn't have to do all this stuff up here. I could just right at the back, or right behind the driver door, make the kind of the wall right there, make the rest of bed. Man, it'd be really easy. I could just do it with a Charger actually, but that would simplify things. Just get a brand new wide body Charger and chop the roof off of it, make it in a truck. I don't know. I think people would be really mad about that. Okay, hope you're going to take it to your local Dodge dealership. I would love to see their reaction. So I do plan on taking it to the local Dodge dealership, but I'm going to take it there and have them not do anything to it, because the last time I had a Dodge dealership touch my car, it just turned into like this big catastrophe. So I might take it there and just like pretend, like pull it into the service center and then, let them like gawk at it a little bit, but I'm not going to let them work on it. So I'll have my friend at Nissan do the alignment on it and charge the AC. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'll probably get a reaction at Nissan. I trust the Nissan dealership because I've worked with them a very long time. I know everybody there. They're not going to mess my stuff up, and I really don't have to worry about it being there. I mean, I know it's going to go there. They're going to do the job. They're going to do it right. That's not much to say about the local Dodge dealerships that I've dealt with. So, I don't want to have any issues with it. I'd rather just take it, have it done. But yeah, I do plan on doing a reaction video. I think the reaction video is going to be pretty cool because they're going to be like, they're going to be like, they don't make a charger station wagon. And I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you didn't know? So I think it'll be a good time. Show the front. So I don't have the front bumper on here, but yeah, we have the brand new headlights and the brand new hood and the front bumpers and the over there. So I just didn't want to clip the bumper into the headlights because I don't want to have to, clip and unclip these tabs a million times, because when you do that, they kind of get weak and then the bumper doesn't sit right. So I want to just have the bumper painted and then clip it in so it only gets clipped in once, and then I don't have to worry about it unclipping or doing some weird stuff. So yeah, I do really love having brand new parts. It's just I wonder who's here. Nobody else is supposed to be here. It sounds like somebody's stealing wheels. Let's go inspect. I don't have my gun on me today either. Oh, I guess somebody else is here. Man, it's bright outside. All right, back inside. You guys probably can see me. Fiero? Hell no. Is it a BMW? It's not a BMW. I don't think BMW isn't British. You didn't, hold on. You didn't mess anything. Hold on. You didn't mess up anything. You did a great job taking every amazing piece on the Mopar and made it a jewel. Keep up the good work. Thanks. I appreciate that. Would you ever take it to Jay Leno's garage? I mean, if I had the chance to take it to Jay Leno's, the bad thing about that is if I did take it to Jay Leno's garage, he'd probably want to buy it off me. And I'd tell him no. I'd be like, no, I'm not selling this car. Maybe, I don't know. He offers people crazy money, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he'd want it, but I'd take it there if you wanted to check it out and drive it. That'd be tight. But yeah, I think once it's done and it looks like a car, it's going to be, a lot of people are going to be pretty excited about it. Even people that don't really like, station wagons or aren't really into Mopars, they'll probably most likely appreciate how much work was put into it. Not just the car, but the work and the fabrication and the effort and the job that was well done. If it I can't say it's going to be well done, but I'll let my work speak for itself. For a small car, I guess it's an MG. Man, people are getting this wrong. I thought this would be an easy one. No, it's not an MG. Any plans on a Viper wagon? What did I see that somebody rendered into a station wagon? I was like, man, that'd be sick. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't a Viper. It was a, man, what was it? It was something. I'd have to look it up on Instagram, but it was really cool. It looked really cool. Um, Man, what was it? It was literally, it looked like all they did was you could make a hatch because it was like a hatchback car. But let's see, BMW. It's not a BMW. That run to New York was epic, dude. Sometimes, hold on, forgetting the fenders is okay when you when you haul you got. Hi Jay, Devin in the UK. Love your videos. The content is one of the best on YouTube. Info available to date. Thanks, I appreciate that. Have you seen a V12 Miata being built on YouTube? So, I mean, the issue. So all these like the Hellcat swap Miata, V12 swap Miata, it's really cool. But the issue is their cars are so small, they don't put the power down. So that's the whole reason behind making this station wagon all-wheel drive with all the Trackhawk drivetrain, was because I was having such an issue with the Hellcat actually hooking. It just wants to spin. I'll still be able to disconnect or disengage the all-wheel drive system because I'll still be using the Trackhawk electronic transfer case. But when I need it, I'll have all the traction that I could possibly want, especially if I put slicks on this thing. I won't have any worries about me spinning, about anything. I mean, this thing should just really rip down the road and shouldn't have too many issues. So, and I'm also going to be working on that this week as well. So I need to get the fixture table that I designed cut so I could weld it together. And then I could start working on the front and the rear subframe to get all the Trackhawk suspension on this thing. Toyota V12. I mean, those are cool too. When will you upload the next Hellcat wide body video? Looking forward to it. So I think it's most likely going to be sometime this week. So tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to have a video or not. I was planning on, I might just do a video about, I just bought a new GoPro, and a lot of people have been asking me about stuff I've, what I have invested in the stock market, which I'm probably not going to tell you exactly what I invest in, but I might give you guys some good tips, to take with a grain of salt, that is. But I might do that as a Monday video because a lot of people have been messaging me and asking me, and all that stuff on Instagram and YouTube and social media. Just kind of curious. So I think I could just kind of use the new GoPro and kind of do a video for Monday, and then Monday, I'm going to work on this thing a little bit more, as well as work on my trailer. So I should have a trailer video out this week because I want to get my trailer fixed. I'm rewiring it, redecking it, and then I'll do this video probably Wednesday or Thursday. So, I want to get that other door, kind of get that frame undone. I ran out of the sanding discs, so I can't get the spot welds down in the door. And then once that door's done, I get a little bit more work in progress done on this. I want to get the tranny actually held up there as well, so I could set it on the ground and roll it back. And so most likely Wednesday or Thursday, there'll be a video on this thing, and just kind of some of the work I did getting the all-wheel drive system put in here, as well as getting all the sheet metal bolted on and getting the doors modified and stuff like that. So there will be a video this week. Most likely look for it Wednesday or Thursday. So let's see. I have that trouble sometimes that I'm there and willing to pay, but product is unavailable. Sucks, but let's see. Excited to see the core panel finished. Yeah, I am really excited to see. So what I really am excited to see is just if I had the whole body in high build primer, just so I could see the body lines, and then have the rear bumper just actually clipped in up here. And I mean, it'll just look really good seeing everything all together, one piece, not bumper not sagging and stuff like that. So even before actually getting it painted, I mean, just having it in high build primer is going to be so cool. and stuff like that. So I just really can't wait. So that's just one thing. And then once I get all this stuff done, so it actually looks, once it looks like looks like a car, it's I keep saying it. I can't wait. I mean, it's one of those things I've been working towards, and it's just really nice to see stuff kind of progress. It's just such a tedious process getting it to that point, especially with all the welding and all the sanding and trying to figure out how you want things to go, and making sure everything fits correctly. Do the doors have the swoops like the current doors? So no, the doors don't actually have any. They actually pop out. Oh, hold on, wrong way. So they actually pop out on the bottom. The Magnum ones have that little. Actually, I have one of the doors over here. So the actually I have a 300C. So those ones kind of pop out and ledge out because they have the body line for that little. I guess you call it like a C or something like that. And the Magnum ones, or 300C ones, have this, see, they have this different curve in them. So they curve down, and then they have this little bubble there, which nothing lines up. And then the top also doesn't line up because it has that little C right there going like that. So, and it doesn't line up with any of these body panels. That's why I ended up using a charger instead of using a Magnum or a 300C, because the skins, the doors on the 300C are actually longer, and the quarter panels, nothing would line up. It would just be a nightmare trying to get everything to work. The doors wouldn't fit. The front door wouldn't fit because the door is actually, I think the charger one, I can't remember. The charger one I think is actually shorter. No, the charger one's longer. One of them's longer and shorter, but it would have just been a nightmare trying to use 300C or a Magnum, and then trying to get all the charger body panels to fit, because door skins would be too short or long. The quarter panels would have been too long. Nothing would have lined up correctly. And we just would have ran into this issue where none of the gaps would have lined up, or it would have been 10 times as much work as what I'm doing to get all the gaps to actually line up, or the doors to actually fit. Let's see. Hi, you are a nice guy. Cool videos. Keep it up. Thanks. I appreciate it. I can't wait for the unveiling. Thanks. You would be easy. Move the pillar. Some for the wider door. I use the rear hatch in the back off the cab. Oh yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. That would be very interesting. If Dodge didn't build it later, it's going to be a great collector item, and it might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it probably will be worth quite a bit of money once it's done. Even if Dodge does make one, but there's only gonna be one of them. I mean, there's a lot of them out there in different stages. So there's quite a few people that have built these, and they're like, I started building this one, or I started talking about building this one last year when I was building the other Magnum in my Hellcat. And I was like, yeah, I want to build a newer Dodge Magnum. And then a bunch of videos started coming out, people trying to build them. People were just converting, Magnums with the Charger front end, and throwing wide body kits on the Magnums, which the Magnums are already pretty wide. They're not as wide as the Chargers, but people are throwing wide body kits on, and like I have the first, Charger, wagon, this and that. But I mean, there's so many different variants of these being built. This is kind of its own animal, because it's there's not another one out there like it. So this is a Charger converted into Magnum, but it has all the factory wide body. It has it has all the factory structure. I actually blended the structure in the correct positions, so it was safe. I've seen a few of them where people were just cutting off. They're cutting off up here and then just welding it to the outer skin, which is 100% unsafe because you're not actually welding the inner part of the structure. So there's quite a few out there that have been done, but they're all their own kind of car. So it just depends on what somebody wants. But this is, I could say this is its own car. There's not another one out there like this. So, there's a bunch of them out there, but some of them are Magnums with just the front end on them. Some of them are Magnums with the front end, and then somebody put the tail lights on them. Some have Durango tail lights. I mean, it's just a bunch of different things. So I wanted this to be as close to a Charger station wagon as it possibly could, like Dodge would build it. So that's kind of what I was aiming for, and really what I wanted the build to be. So that being said, I mean, everybody's kind of does. I mean, there's quite a few of them out there that look really cool, but I wanted this one to be how it is, and it's going to be the only one out there. So, I mean, hopefully, if somebody wants to pay a ridiculous amount of money for it once it's finished, which I probably even then wouldn't want to sell it, but it just kind of depends. Do you think you would build a classic car? So I am going to have to get a bunch of old cars for my grandpa because he has a bunch of old cars. So I may end up building one of those. But at this point, I mean, it kind of depends on what you consider a classic car, because I do have a 72 240Z. I might end up getting that other car. I'm going to look at it today. I might end up buying it. And that's a 65, I think. So that's kind of considered a classic car. My FC technically has classic car collector plates on it. So, I mean, like an American classic car, most likely once I go get my grandpa's cars that has had sitting around for quite some time. But that's probably going to be closer to like December, something like that. Just kind of depends. Why do you need somebody else to charge the AC on the Magnum? Is there something different with the system? So on the newer systems, this is going to have the brand new system in it. It's R134YF. It has different connectors. It has a whole different procedure to evacuate and fill the AC system. So you really need a machine to do it. And since I know the Nissan dealership here, I could have them do it. I don't have to worry about it. They'll charge me whatever it costs. And whatever the refrigerant costs, which the refrigerant is quite expensive. So what he was telling me how it's charged is it actually evacuates the whole system for like 30 minutes, and then it fills the system back up, and then I guess it lets it sit to make sure there isn't a pressure drop or any leaks or anything like that. Then it re-evacuates everything out of the system to make sure it pulls any contamination or anything out, then re-cleans the refrigerant, and then it refills it. So it's like a 2-hour long process. But he said if you don't, I guess with the, how it's set up, that if you don't fill it and then re-evacuate it, most of the time you're going to get a lot of contaminants in there, or there might be a lot of contaminants, which I'm not too worried about it. I just like when the AC works. When I was younger in high school through college, I was deleting the AC and everything. Now it's just leave the AC in cars. It doesn't take that much power out of them, or if any, and you don't really save any weight or anything by deleting the AC. Just leave it in there, turn the boost up, and it'll compensate. But yeah, AC is where it's at. I should have known that a long time ago, but when you're a kid, you're just dumb. So let's see. Act like you're going to trade Dodge for something new. That'd actually be pretty funny. Be like, yeah, I have this car I want to trade, and I'm not sure what it's worth. And then they come out and look at it. That'd be a pretty good video. I think that'd be funny. That's a good idea. Thanks. I appreciate that. Let's see. What will the Hellcat wagon be worth versus what you have in it? So it kind of depends what you determine or consider is worth. So, I mean, money-wise, I would say, I'll have probably $50,000 to $60,000 into this thing, but labor-wise and stuff like that, when I was figuring how much how much time, and if I charged a shop, if I used shop rates and said I was getting paid like $120 an hour or something like that, which most body shops do charge that, I would have had, crazy amount of money into the Hellcat. But especially this, because I'm welding panels and fabricating stuff like that, I'd probably have like $50,000 worth of just time in this thing if I was like a body shop, $120 an hour or whatever, trying to get this thing done. So, that's the good thing about knowing how to do stuff yourself, even though it does take time. And, you're saving that initial cost of paying somebody else to do it. Instead of paying them to do it, you can spend it on upgrades. Like, if I want to, when I built the 426, I could put that money towards the 426 instead of paying it towards a body shop. So it's just one of those things. If you know how to do it yourself. I mean, most of the time you're going to take more pride in what you're doing than if you're paying somebody to do it. It's this weird thing that happens. When are you going to start working on it? I miss the videos. So, I mean, I have been working on it. You can only do so much. I mean, I have plenty of other stuff that I have to do, and getting the parts was its own animal. I don't know if you've ever driven more than 10 hours, but a 30-hour drive or 60-hour drive, 30 hours each way is no joke. So, I mean, everybody else on YouTube just pretty much talks in their videos anyway. So, I mean, I don't really know what people are complaining about when I'm doing live streams and it says in the video, trip, Sunday Q&A. I mean, it should be very clear and cut and dry. So ACR 123 R1234 YF. Mini Cooper. Finally, somebody got it. A Citron. Hell no, it's not a Citron. Back to the Future. I wish I could find a DeLorean. I literally have been looking for one. I should have bought one a long time ago, but I had a chance to buy one. And I knew where one was sitting for a long time. When I was in high school, there was a DeLorean literally sitting by the high school, just in the back of somebody's yard. And I looked for it like a couple of years ago, and they must have moved or sold it or something like that, or maybe somebody came by and bought it off of them. But that was the perfect car because it was just chilling in their backyard for like ever. I mean, it was in their backyard ever since I was in like middle school, because the bus would just drive by it, and they're stainless steel. I mean, they're super bright when the sun's shining on them, so they're very noticeable when you drive by them. It's just like, man, what's that car? What's that car? What's that car? And you just see it like every day for like, from middle school to high school. So it's just one of those things. A Z-Wagon. Very excited to see the finish. What's the interior going to look like? Charger or Challenger? So it's going to be a mix. I do like the Challenger dashes a lot better, and the Challenger center console. So I'm going to put those in there, but it's going to be, the whole rest of it's going to be Charger interior. Headliner and everything else is going to be out of the Magnum. So I'm anxious to see the rear end complete. You and me both. Would it be a Datsun wagon? No, it's not going to be a Datsun wagon. Would you do a Magnum wagon with a Challenger front? So if I actually did a Challenger front end wagon, I'd most likely just get like a Challenger Hellcat wide body and then make it into a station wagon. So since a lot of people have been saying, build a two-door wagon or something like that, maybe eventually I will do that and just turn a Challenger into a station wagon. But there's just so many variances because people want to see a Challenger into a Ute, they want to see a Charger into a Ute, etc. So I mean, I could just pretty much go all day just turning Dodge cars into station wagons and into Utes. So call it the S-Wagon. I actually have a name for the wagon. I told DIY Gang about it, and he thought it was a pretty good idea. So most likely it's what's going to happen. I already have an emblem designed for it. What I need to do is actually, once I get the car together, I need to have somebody, or I need to, I need to have somebody change the back screen or figure out how to change the back screen so it has my logo on it instead of, like the new emblem on it instead of the Hellcat emblem. Because I think the demons have the demon one and the red eyes have the red on, the launch screen part when you first initially start the car, and then when the main display's on, it's in the background. So I need to figure out how to change that as well, but that'll be later on down the road. Love and respect all the way from Germany. Hell yeah. Mini Cooper. Some people are getting it. Why not a BMW 7 Series from 2000 and buy turbo it? I mean, that would be kind of cool. Can you build a Civic? I want to see what parts you designed for it. So I actually designed a K-Series intake manifold, which if I do get a Honda, it's most likely going to be an Element. I have been looking for a Honda Element for an all-wheel drive manual one for a long time. So that's really the plan, is I'm going to put that intake manifold on it, boost it, and have an all-wheel drive, off-road kind of camp, like mid-style off-road camper expedition vehicle, because you can get the fiberglass like topper things that pop up for the Elements, which are pretty cool. So I have been looking. I mean, I do look for a lot of cars all the time. I just look for them and try to find them cheap. So most of the time I try to find them blown up, because most of those cars, like the Elements and stuff, they have transmission issues, and they also have valve issues. They'll start to get excessive valve seat wear, and then they won't have compression. So I do look at the auction a lot as well. So it's really one of those things. When things pop up, I buy them. And I almost bought an FD when I was out in New York, but another FD while I was out in New York is actually a pretty good deal. But I ended up not doing it, because then I would have had to buy a trailer, and the trailer I was looking at in New York, it had, like, I needed to buy tires, and then I would have had to rent a hotel for another 4 days for the tires to come in. And it was like $123 a day for the hotel. So at that point, it was almost not worth getting a trailer and then the FD and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then I would have had to figure out, I could have just had that dealership put on the tires, but and then I would have had to figure out where to park that damn thing, because it was a big trailer. Okay. Will you be using the Charger or mag rear door windows? By the way, great build. So I'm not exactly sure which windows I'm going to use. I may end up having to kind of make a little bit of a custom piece back here. So right here, as you can see, so the actual Charger door fits very nice. So I'm going to get rid of this piece right here. This is just a Magnum piece. It's just spot welded up here. This actually fits to the core panel, but I'm using a piece of Charger skin up here. And then I'm using also some 300 skin up here, but the Charger door actually fits perfectly in here. And then what I'm going to do is, because it's a little bit different, so the Magnum actually comes here. Let's go back. The Magnum actually comes way back out here, because the door sticks so far further back. So what I'm going to do is actually make my own little piece to come up and around. And I may actually have to make my own little quarter window. So most likely I'm going to end up using the Magnum door glass, but I might actually have to make a little quarter glass to fit in here. So, because I don't think I have a 300C door under here. I don't think the quarter glass back here is the right shape, but I don't know. I might end up using it. I might actually end up splicing some things together. It's just one of those things. It's really nice to have the parts, because then you could put them up there, see if they're going to work. If they don't work, you have to modify them. It's a lot easier having the stuff than not having it, because when I didn't have the doors and I didn't want to, I don't know, it just kicked me off. But yeah, I didn't want to cut up those good doors, because I'm going to end up selling the rear doors. So it's just really nice having the parts that you could put on and modify as you need. And it's just a lot easier. So let me get back to where I was at on the comments. Let's see. Ooh, an Austin Healey. Man. Oh man, I have no clue. There's a BMW. Will you be using a charger? Or, okay, that's the question I just answered. Hold on, missed the question you asked that everyone is getting wrong. What is a car question so I can try to answer it? Oh, it's just I'm gonna buy, most likely gonna buy a British car, but some people got it right already. Early Honda. I don't know about an early Honda. Is it I don't even know what that is. All-wheel drive Austin Mini. That'd be kind of cool. I was thinking something else, but I think people might get mad about it if I build a Mini Cooper into one. I almost want to just restore it, but we'll see. The club is looking to invite YouTube work to a car show in the springs over here in the spring over here in Tennessee. Hold on, the world. I'm not sure what that means. Hope the trip went well and can't wait to see the Hellwagon complete. Thanks. Me neither. Good afternoon. Were you able to get any parts for the VR4? I wasn't. I actually messaged quite a few people that were parting cars out, and it just really never worked out as I was driving, and as I was in. What's going on here? Yeah, so it's pretty much just one of those things. It just never worked out to pick any up. So I'm still looking for some side skirts for the 3000, but it's I'll find them. I'll find them eventually. Love watching your videos. Thanks. Hello from Jamaica. Can't wait to see the end results. I'm sure it'll be great. Thanks. I appreciate it. Let's see. Is it an Austin Healey? It is not. What is your thoughts on Dodge rusting issues? So actually, that is a good question. So it's pretty obvious. So these doors are for a car. So the rear wide body doors are for a car that's almost $100,000. And let's open this door a little bit. That might work. And so they're actually coated pretty well, but you can see that it's bubbling right here already. And in here, it's like it bubbled and they missed the coat. So I'm gonna actually spray some sealer over that. And there's just a few spots on all the stuff where it's not really coated, and you can see why they rust as they do, especially when I was pulling the Magnum stuff apart up here, where the quarter panel or the roof skin met the top. There was rust in between it. Not very much rust, but you could just see that where the seam sealer was, they don't actually clear coat over it. And I think what happens is, so that's the one thing I don't really like about Dodge, but I do when I paint stuff. So when Dodge paints a car, they pretty much just let stuff get oversprayed. The engine bay really isn't painted that well. It's just kind of, they kind of dust some color on it. They don't clear it. I like to clear all my stuff. And I think the same thing goes for the back when they're seam sealer and they actually just put a base over it, and then they don't actually clear it. The base is, water can kind of get behind the base over time, get behind that seam sealer, and then it starts to kind of form this little, it starts to rust the metal, and it just kind of deteriorates over time because there's no clear to repel or stop the water from ingressing into behind the base, then behind the seam sealer. Then once it gets to the bare sheet metal that's behind the seam sealer, it just kind of goes downhill from there. So I think there's a few things that they could do better when they put cars together, especially where water is supposed to run, like down the behind the trunk, down the pillars, or down, in the engine bay and stuff like that. they should just clear it. I mean, it doesn't cost that much more to clear that stuff. I'm guessing they don't clear it because when they paint, they paint the car with the doors and stuff on it. Um, that actually doesn't really make sense. They actually paint the car with the doors off of it. They probably paint the car with the hood and the rear, with the trunk and stuff on it, but with the hatch, stuff like that. So it's just one of those things that I'm picky about. I like opening my hood and my trunk and seeing a nice cleared paint job. When it's done, you should take it to CarMax, watch all their expressions, try and figure out what it is. Do you have a timeline? Most likely the body's all going to be complete by the end of the year. So I have a Challenger 2017 start to rust. What's your opinion? Need help? So where's it starting to rust? A lot of people have been posting on forums that the control arms and stuff like that are rusting. That's really not that big of an issue because it's steel. But if you're really worried about the aesthetics of it, just go on there, mask some stuff off, and you could either hit it with, you could go down and get the black cans. They're like gloss black, but they have the hardener in the bottom. It's like a little ball you push up, and then it breaks the seal, and then you mix them up, and it's like a one-time use. So you have to spray them, or the whole can will get hard. Just mask everything off, then get one of those cans. You could scuff all the rust spots up, and you could either, if you want to, you could use like a rust neutralizer and then spray them with that paint, or you could just spray right over them, and it'll pretty much eliminate all the rust, and it'll prevent it from coming back because it does have the hardener in there. It'll look nice. It will, harden up. Water won't be able to get behind it and start to rust it again. So it's just a car that's mass produced. You can't really expect more. The really good thing about the Trackhawk stuff is everything is aluminum. So I don't have to worry about the knuckles rusting. I don't have to worry about the control arms rusting because they're all aluminum. So don't have to worry about those things rusting. The top ones are steel, but I'm getting aftermarket ones that are aluminum. So let's see. Thanks for answering the AC question. That is more complex than older systems. Yeah, the newer the system is, it seems like the more complex it gets. But I mean, my Hellcat AC blows very, very cold. Still waiting on the picture of my first car. I'm gonna have to find it. My parents have like a photo album at home with like all the pictures. My dad's first car, I think it was his first car, maybe it was his second car. He used to have a 510, I think it was like in the 70s or something, but he had a 510 two-door that was lowered. He lowered it on springs or something like that, whatever you did back in the day. I think it had like 16 or 17-inch wheels with like low profile tires, or as low profile as you can get. It looked pretty cool. It had like an exhaust on it, and he used to rip it around. He used to live in California, so when he was growing up, I guess he did all kinds of stuff. He had a Trans Am too, but yeah, I should post that picture too, because that was a pretty cool car. Do you have the interior mapped out for the wagon? I do. So it's going to be a mix between Challenger interior and Charger interior, as well as Magnum interior. So quite a few cars, but it should all work out. What was your very first car? A 3-cylinder Suzuki Swift that I bought for $500 with all the money I had. I don't know why people keep asking what Hellwagon is worth. It's a custom, so it's worth what someone will, and never what it's in it. It's your very first car. Just answer that. Let's see. I don't get why you just don't convert Dodge. Hold on. I just don't get why you don't convert Dodges for a living. It's a great business model, and you've gotten the attention because of the Dodges. So the issue is so there could be a business model behind it, but nobody's going to want to spend the amount of money it's going to cost me to build one of these cars. I mean, there might be one or two people, but you can't base a business off of 10 people in like the whole entire world. So it's a cool idea. I really wouldn't mind converting these, but at the end of the day, with how much time and money and stuff there is, if I redid one of these, I'd most likely just start off with a newer wide body Hellcat Charger and then put a hatch on it. But even that being said, you're going to have, the new wide body Hellcats are like 85 to $95,000. And then you have all the parts and labor and stuff like that. So, it's going to be, at that point, it's almost, with labor and everything, it'd almost be like $150 to almost $200,000 car, which nobody's going to pay that. If Dodge reproduced one, they'd be mass producing it. They'd have all the panels, they have machines that put them together. It's not financially speaking, there wouldn't be enough people to justify building these for people, because there's not going to be that many people that want to spend that kind of money for a station wagon that's a Hellcat. I mean, if Dodge reproduced them, I mean, they'd probably be the same price as like a Daytona Hellcat. But at the end of the day, it's for custom stuff. It's just one of those things. Doing custom jobs for people, it's never as good as it sounds. So is a Scat Pack wagon complete? It is not. It's still just kind of chilling. You were lucky that you didn't have to be quarantined in New York. Glad you had a good and safe trip. Looking forward to progress on the Charger wagon. So the issue with being quarantined, they can't really quarantine people. There's so many people coming in and out of a state. They would almost have to set up like a roadblock, which at that point there'd be such a long line of traffic. They would never be able to screen everybody, and they would just have to end up letting people go. So even if I came from a state that was on their list, there's no way for a cop to know, because I saw plenty of police officers driving when I was walking around downtown New York. There's like tons. There's like 20 on every corner, but there's no way that any of those police officers are going to know that guy's not from New York. Let's go get him or something like that. So it's just one of those things. There's no way they'd be able to enforce it. It's just ridiculous that they think they ever could. It's just like kind of on an honor system, which to me the whole quarantine thing is BS, because it's I don't know. I've been everywhere. I mean, I'm gonna have to say this. I have been all over the United States. The only place I haven't gone yet is like west from Colorado. So, and there's no issues. I mean, I haven't gotten sick. Like I've said before, I don't really get sick that easy. Also, I had something shipped from China like in October of last year, and I felt weird for like a couple hours, and it was kind of weird because the package was, when I opened it, it was moist and stuff like that. But and then after that, I think my mom got sick, and then my grandma got sick, and then they don't get sick that easy either. So it was done like in a day or so with them. But it's I'm not too worried about it. I mean, the stuff that they're implementing is just kind of ridiculous. If you look, so when I worked at Cummins, I was an engineer for Cummins. I had this filtration project. So I had this company that we had to figure out, how well air filters that were filtering for the engine actually filtered down to. So we were supposed to be filtering at 40 microns, and we were still getting fine sediment that was going through these, $250,000 engines, which it really wasn't hurting the engines. And so this company that we had a project with, they were very concerned because they had this issue where their engines were just constantly, every day, just having this fine sediment go through it. And at the end of the project, we were filtering at 40 microns, but even then, if you look at the micron rating of, what they're saying the size of the virus is to what the masks actually filter. So if you can blow like smoke or vape or anything through a mask, I'm not telling people not to do stuff, but if you can blow smoke through it, it's not effective. It's really not doing anything for you. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just one of those things. If you feel safer wearing one, and if you feel safer not wearing one, I mean, they should let you do what you want. I mean, the people wearing them, they're protecting themselves. The people not wearing them, I guess, they're doing what they feel is correct. So, I mean, it's not a pandemic to me. So if it was a pandemic, there would be, the numbers would be there. It would have went from when it started in California and started in New York. There would have been, a couple people. Then it would have progressed to like 1,000 to like 10,000 to like 100,000. But that would have been deaths, and it hasn't. It's just really been very low. The flu is more contagious, which I just think it's a big scam. So I didn't wear a mask. There's not really any way they could have quarantined me, which is it just would have been one of those things. There's not enough police to enforce something, which, let's see, which that explanation might have made some people mad, but that's just how I feel. So let's see. Literally right in front of you, and you still spell it wrong. SRT swapped my Genesis coupe. You hold a good bit of grease to the inside of the classic Mini. Hope the Dodge Magnum Hellcat is going to be for sale. I mean, maybe eventually. Let's see. Hello from Middletown, Ohio. Finally, you have the wide body parts. This build should really speed up now. Can't wait to see the final result. And the fenders you hooked the DIY gang up turned out nice. Thanks. I appreciate it. I mean, he needed them, and I was just really just happy to not have them sitting in my shop taking up space, because I was always worried about damaging them because they're just kind of sitting there. Want to see it twin turboed and supercharged? It's just going to be turboed. I don't see the reason to have a supercharger on it as well. What color am I leaning towards? It's going to be a blue. I'm not exactly sure the shade, or if it's tri-coat, base coat. It's one of those things. I need to go up to the paint store and just kind of tell them, pick out some colors, be like, let's do these colors in base and clear, and then do them in base, mid coat, and clear, and just see what they look like in the sun and everything, and see how they're gonna if they're gonna pop, or if they're gonna look kind of bland. I just want it to look nice and clean. Dave, love the channel. Thanks, appreciate it, Henry. If you're going to stick with the Dodge, you could do a 70 Dodge Challenger, body swap it on a Challenger SRT Hellcat frame. I mean, that's kind of been done before, and it would be cool, but if I don't know, I'd probably do something else. I have a 2005 Magnum, and if you offered a modern charger conversion kit for the front clip, I'd buy it. There's a few companies out there that already do it, which, I mean, they already do a good job. They have the conversion fenders and stuff like that. I think what you're doing is awesome and super entertaining. Appreciate it. Thanks. Great job, Dave. As always, love watching your channel. Thanks. It's fake news. If anybody thinks the news is real, it's just, The news is just so fake. They just make stuff so they just blow stuff out of proportion. It's like when you make a girl mad. It's like that's the news. They just blow things out of proportion. What horsepower numbers am I going for? So this thing wouldn't be a cool car if it was just a stock 700 horsepower. So the plan is the low horsepower is going to be 1,000 and the high is going to be like 13 to like 1,500. So, and that's going to be all wheel. So I shouldn't have any issues with traction, and will, 1,000 horsepower on a Hellcat engine is, you can do that stock, which is very crazy that you can buy a stock car that you can tune and turn it up to 1,000 horsepower, which is, to me, if you think about in the short amount of time in the 70s or in the 80s, let's go with the 80s. So in the 80s, they made the 911 turbos, they made, the 280Z turbo, they made, the big block, Ford, Chevy, stuff like that. They're making, some of them were making almost 400, some of them were making like 200 something. I think the Porsches made, and I know the Z's made like 200 something, but and you come to that's in the 80s. You come to, what are we in? We're 2020, so like 40 years later. Let's say 40 years later. 40 years later, you get, you could say like 30 years later, if you say like 86, the late 80s, like 86, 89, stuff like that. The late 80s, like 30, 40 years, you're talking about stock cars that are putting down 700 horsepower that you can turn up to 1,000. So it's just crazy to me to think people back in the 70s and 80s thought, 200 to 400 horsepower is fast on the streets. And now we have cars that are like 700 to 1,000 horsepower on the street. And they're like daily drivers. Back then, most of those cars drove like shit. And these cars are perfectly fine. It's something you could drive all the way across the country. You can go in between altitude, high altitude, low altitude, sea level, and not have any issues with carburetors messing up or any of those old issues that you had. To me, it's just awesome. So it's crazy that the car companies are doing stuff like that. And without the car companies doing crazy stuff like this, for an individual to do stuff like this, it'd never happen. So it's just props. All the car companies, Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Nissan, Mitsubishi, all of them are just making cool cars. Let's see. Okay, greetings from Sweden. How's it going with the FD? Keep up the good work. So with the FD, I actually ordered a 3D printer so I could 3D print some of the intake manifolds I designed. And the FD is one of them. Once I 3D print that stuff, make sure everything's going to fit, I'll actually send it off to the machine shop and have them made. And then the FD will be back together. That's really the only thing that and the exhaust is the only thing I have left waiting on for the FD to get it running again. Make a girl mad. No, make your wife mad. Yes. Dumb question, is it all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive? So they come rear-wheel drive, all Hellcats, rear-wheel drive. This one is going to be all-wheel drive. I have the Trackhawk tranny already in there with the Trackhawk block, which I'm going to bore out. But yes, it's going to be all-wheel drive. That is the whole reason behind doing all that modification. Angry girl news. Missed the start of this Q&A. Has anybody asked how the rotaries are doing? The rotaries are both doing well. Can you give me a mod? Dave, do you get you mixed up with the rapper? The rapper. I'm guessing you're talking about, I don't know. You're probably talking about Lil Dicky. When I had like longer hair, and I keep burning my head with the damn welder. I need one of those hats. But I literally always had girls. So I went to a couple parties. This was, I'd say 5, 6 years ago. It was probably 5, 6 years ago. I'd go to these parties, and all these girls would always come up to me and be like, maybe it was 5, 6 years, it might have been 4 years ago. They would always think I was Lil Dicky, and I was like, and then my ex girlfriend, for the longest time, always would say that I look like I forgot this like one movie star, and I was like, nah, there's no way. But it's just I just need to do something. I'm guessing he means Lil Dicky. 1,000 horsepower is not practical. I literally get bored driving 700 horsepower. 1,000 is practical. I mean, I've been driving fast cars for so long that like thinking about like 700 horsepower or 1,000 horsepower, like 400 horsepower is nothing. Like 700 horsepower, I mean, it's fast. The Hellcat is fun. You get kind of in trouble a little bit here and there. I mean, not really in trouble, but I mean, the back end breaks loose, or you can feel it kind of, the tires spinning or something like that, which I don't have an issue driving stuff like that, but you just get used to it. I mean, 1,000 horsepower, is going to be fun. I mean, it's one of those things that it's not practical in means of, you're not saving the environment, or, I mean, I guess you're not hurting the environment, but you're not saving any fuel doing it. But it's fun. It's practical. I mean, to me, it's practical. To somebody that maybe, I don't know. To me, it's practical. So that's bonkers. Shout out Saudi Arabia. What's going on? Angry girl fake news. Would you consider bringing your finish, charging them to the big spring festival here in California, where the Dodge suits make and appreciate each year? The charger might give them ideas. So I was actually going to go to that this year, but they canceled it. As far as I know, it's still canceled till next year. So this will be done. Most likely I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this to there. If a company wants me to take it to SEMA, I'll take it to SEMA. But I think everything this year is pretty much over with, because this whole thing, there isn't anything really going on. Everything's trying to kind of ramp back up, but then it keeps getting kind of shut back down. So once everything, I think the beginning of the year, everything's going to just kind of hopefully go back to normal. All the stuff, all the events, everything that was supposed to happen this year is just going to kind of continue into next year. 2020 is just going to be like that year nobody remembers, because nothing really happened, because everybody's so bored. But hopefully next year is just, I'll have this thing done. We could take it to, I could take it across the country. I still want to do that with the Hellcat, but yeah, I could take it across the country. Hopefully, when I was driving to New York, I almost got caught in a tornado. So hopefully I don't have any issues with this, because that's one thing I always worry about driving cars is either getting caught in some bad storm, something happening, an animal jumps out in front of you, hail. There's just so many things. But, I do want to drive this thing across the country and go to some events and stuff like that. Go to maybe a Cletus and Cars, because I was going to take the Hellcat to Cletus and Cars in Florida, just drive it out there. So there's quite a few events, but I don't think anything's going to really happen this year. It's all going to be next year. So at that point, we'll have this thing done. It'll be, whatever it is, 1,000, 1,500 horsepower, and we'll just have some fun with it. Going to sell the truck soon and rebuild another truck rebuild. I've been thinking about it. Right now, I don't want to get myself overwhelmed, so I'm really just focusing on the charger so I can get it done, bust it out. Getting little side projects here and there, like the car I'm looking at today, if I do end up buying it, is just side projects. I'm not really doing much on it. Just get it running and driving and put it back together. I mean, that's and doing my trailer and stuff like that isn't a big deal. So yeah, I mean, it will come. Let's see. What happened with DIY Gang? Only 20 vlogs in the channel. What's that? Only 20 vlogs? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, we met up and had some lunch. It was a good day. I'm from Germany, loved the road trip, been to the US many times, but still can't get my head around how big the states are. So technically, if you think, I'm not exactly sure how many miles I think it's like 5,000 miles or something like that around the earth. So if you think about how far I drove, I'd have to verify that. I'm not 100% sure, but if you think how far I drove, it was like I think 2,500 miles each way or something like that. So I pretty much drove almost around the earth. Do you know how large Gen 3 Hemi can go? Um, so I'm just gonna bore it out to 4.125 inches on the cylinders, and then the stroke just gonna do like whatever, it's 4.09. I'm just gonna build pretty much a elephant engine. So um, I'm not sure how big you can go, but that's as far as I'm gonna go, because that'll make quite a bit of power, and even naturally aspirated, that thing should make like 500. So Devin Motorcycle Mechanic donated $10. Thanks, I appreciate that. Here's a couple bucks for the YouTube entertainment and some drinks for upcoming hard work. Thanks, I appreciate it. Have you thought of a Challenger front end? Like I said before, I really don't want to put a Challenger front end on this. I want it to be a Charger. If I did a Challenger station wagon, I'd just do a two-door version, which I may end up doing. I'm not exactly sure. I would just get a wide body Hellcat and just turn it into a station wagon. So let's see. It's like the south of Portugal to the middle of Norway. Planet is about 25k miles. Yeah, I couldn't remember. So there's a lizard. Maybe it's Mars that's like 5,000 miles around or something like that. One of them is pretty small. Amazing work. Keep up with the mind-blowing ideas. Thanks, appreciate it. Will you consider doing a modern SRT10 with newer RAM body salvage title? I might. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. If I did one, I'd probably use a newer Viper engine, because instead of cast iron, I'm pretty sure they're all aluminum. So they're lighter and stuff like that. So maybe, I don't know. It just depends on the next project. Well, this live stream has been quite a bit longer than they usually are. It's almost an hour and a half. So I'm gonna, let's see, 25. Dave, so you're close to 6:10. Stay behind after class, please. I mean, I don't think you really learn how big the circumference is in school. So, yeah. But I'm gonna have to say, yeah, it's been an hour and a half, and I'm pretty much going to end the live stream here. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in, all the new people that are from DIY Gang, or if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll have a video out on this sometime this week, and hopefully we can actually get some more progress. I want to get the quarter panels hopefully done or at least started and mocked up, if not done, in the next couple of weeks, and then we can start working on the hatch and getting all this stuff back together so I can get this thing in primer. Like I've said before, most likely I'm going to do a composite roof, so I could paint the car, do the composite roof, and have all that stuff done in the future. So I really want to get this thing at least in high build primer in at least the next month. So that's quite a bit of work to get all these quarter panels fit and the hatch and stuff fit, and get the door frames made for the doors, and just get everything ready to get ready for paint, because I want to get this thing done. I want to see it finally put together. The painting process, it's going to be quite extensive. So just keep that in mind, because I'm going to actually do, I'm actually going to paint it. Whatever I'm going to paint it, I'm going to do base mid or base clear, and then I'm going to wet sand it and then re-clear it. and then I'm going to wrap it. So the painting process is going to probably take a little bit longer than most painting videos. So just keep that in mind, because I'm gonna have to wait in between coats and wait to actually like, I think it's 30 or 60 days to actually do a clear bra on the whole car. So just keep that in mind. I'm trying to get this thing done, and we'll make some progress, but should have a video out this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and see you guys in the next video.